Australian energy company Invictus says it has not found oil and gas deposits in northern Zimbabwe a day after the Information Ministry announced that oil had been discovered. In a statement to the Australian Stock Exchange, Invictus said an oil or gas discovery has not been made, adding that there were indications of oil which could only be confirmed by drilling an exploration well. Zimbabwe's Mine Minister, Winston Chitando, said the well would be sunk in 2020 at a cost of $20 million, and it will be the largest undrilled onshore resource in Africa. In Morocco, nearly 1,000 African migrants who lost their shelters in a fire in October are rebuilding their camp. Their temporary home were destroyed by a fire whose cause was not known in the country's biggest city of Casablanca.
The tents and belongings of nearly 1,000 migrants were destroyed by a fire in Casablanca late on the 27th of October, the third at the camp since July 2017. Days after, James from Sierra Leone and his camp neighbours began clearing debris, sawing and nailing wooden frames as they started to rebuild the area, which last week housed 300 plastic tents.
This is the place we live in. Truly, it's not easy for us, but we're just striking and fighting for our own progress and prosperity. And through the power of God, God will make you succeed in our journey. You know, things is not really easy for us, but we try through ourselves, and we are our brother living in this place.
They are among some 6,000 Africans that were moved by the Moroccan government from the northern city of Tangier and a nearby forest to the country's south in an attempt to stop them crossing over to Spain. Officials describe the moves as a crackdown on illegal trafficking networks, but Rights Group have called it forced displacement. James arrived in Morocco from Sierra Leone 9 months ago after crossing from Algeria. However, he says he has not given up his dream of moving to Europe.
My plan is to break my camp and advance to go to Europe. And through the power of God, God will lead me to my destination.
Morocco to Spain has become the gateway to Europe for many African migrants after Italy closed its doors to most asylum seekers who were entering via Libya. According to the UN refugee agency UNHCR, more than 6,000 migrants have made it to Melilla and Spain's nearby territory, Ceuta, so far this year. Others pay smugglers to get them across the 14-kilometer of sea to Spain. But until the funds are raised, a temporary home in Casablanca needs to be rebuilt.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. A Nigerian scientist, Addis Iro, has created a device he says can make a hot environment cool. With little to no electricity, Addis uses nanotechnology to make an air condition. Let's take a look.
I call it the ZECC.
An energy systems engineer, Addis Iro, has created a climate control system that can help make the environment cool. ZEC, that is Zero Electric Climate Control, to a limited level can work alone but better with electricity with the addition of light and fan. While the light increases the heat in the system, the fan circulates air over the rocks inside, increasing evaporation and condensation.
Here I'm using nanoscience to create an enormous amount of surface contact with air. So with water inside this material, the air can touch a lot of water, right? The heat can touch a lot of water at the same time, causing a lot of evaporation to occur. Condensation can happen a lot at the same time, causing heat to be released into the environment. Evaporation causes heat to be absorbed from the environment. So by absorbing and releasing heat into the environment at different rates, I can manage the climate, which is the temperature and humidity of a given environment.
Addis uses small rocks which he calls nano-evaporators and condensers. With enough of them and with water, he achieves cooling or heating, depending on how much water is in the air and how high or low the temperature is.
So inside this frame are small rocks. I call them cooling rocks. So the material that I invented can be made into anything. Right now I'm making them into rocks. It can also be made into tubes. It can also be made into cylinders. It can be shaped into anything, as long as it is opening up as much surface as possible to make contact with heat and with air.
He aims to make his work comfortable for people to live in their homes or work in their offices.
The material that I invented.
The United Nations Population Fund has established 5 safe spaces for refugee women and girls residing in Cairo. The UNPF says women and youth in Egypt can seek havens at the safe spaces, which mainly targets refugees and aims to help them better integrate into society.
The initiative, funded by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, and the European Commission, offers a physical space for the women and girls to meet one another, seek help and engage in a range of activities together. While the spaces are open to women and youth of all backgrounds, they mostly support Syrian women refugees in Egypt. According to the Nagla Mehana, coordinator of one of the safe places run by Etija, an NGO partner in the initiative, the Syrian women are among the refugee groups that need the most care.
In reality, Syrian women and Sudanese women are the two categories that need the most care. These women are arriving from war zones and they come in a state of shock. They need to release the negative energy that they received during the war. They have no place to go out here. The Syrians in specific are mostly conservative within their families, so they were not allowed to go out in mixed places. But the safe zones for women were very special to them, where they were allowed to go out.
The safe places offer the refugee women a place to interact with Egyptian women, play with their children, receive one-on-one counseling, be trained on gender-based violence, produce arts and crafts, and even act in plays.
The way Egypt is dealing with the refugees is different from any other country because there are no physical spaces for refugees. I think that the key word here and component is integration. So they have access to education, they have access to the health services as Egyptians and the same condition. So this, let me just put it this way: these safe spaces are a sort of intermediate, step in helping in that process of integration.
According to the UN, 4.7 million people from Syria have taken refuge in neighboring countries as of 2016, particularly Lebanon, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, and Turkey. 1.2 million are women and girls of childbearing age, with 70,000 pregnant and 145,000 heading households.
That's it on the program today. Do have a lovely weekend. I'm Teniola Shoboale.